Hello, my squishies. It's Friday night. It's felting time. I'm going to ramble a little bit while I wait for everybody to come on because I film these live and then leave them up for you guys to watch after the fact. So while I'm waiting for someone to say that they can hear me and that everything is fine, hopefully someone will tell me in a second. I'll keep rambling. It'll be fine. Okay, well, welcome to Felt Along. So if you haven't joined us before, I'm going to just introduce you to felting, introduce you to these streams, and then we're going to get felting. Yes, I can be heard, I believe. Everything is all good, so we are good to go. So welcome. A brief... What's the word? Oh my god, it's Friday night. I can't remember anything already. With these streams, so we record them live, and you can see down somewhere there's a live chat replay button. So if you want to see the chats that are coming in as I'm chatting just now, you can hit that button. Otherwise, you can just pretend I'm talking to myself. But after the fact, so when you're watching this later on, you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can pause. So if I'm going too fast, slow me down. If I'm going too slow, speed me up. And if I'm rambling too much nonsense, as my parents say, please feel free to mute me. You don't have to listen to this. You can just felt along with me. Because already there's 2 troublemakers in the stream, and we just get on with all the nonsense while I'm felting. So yeah, fast forward, rewind, pause. Perfect. So in your kits, you've got your foam mat. So this is what we use to felt onto. This protects your surfaces and makes felting easier. And they get a bit messy after a while, so please ignore mine. We've also got your pre-felt. So this is what we're going to felt onto. This is where the picture lives, essentially. It's made out of Shetland wool that's been lightly felted, but it's not as felted as felt, because that's not a tongue twister. So we've got our pre-felt. Also Robin, who's in the chat and is the chief troublemaker. I've got things to say. Yeah, so this is a pre-felt that I've drawn on. I'm calling this the unhappy face today, but it will make a beautiful picture once it's finished. It just looks a bit, whenever I draw it on, I'm like, oh, sad face. Yeah, so that's your pre-felt. We've also got the needles, so let's see if we can focus on these. Might not be able to focus, but these are your felting needles. They've got one end is sharp and barbed, the other end's got a hook on it. Please do not stab yourself with these. Always try and keep one hand away from where you're felting, because it does hurt if you stab yourself. And also these do break, it's totally normal. There's a few tricks to help you not break them, but I'll get into that later on. But if you do break one, make sure you find all of the bits and dispose of it safely. I put mine in it's like a little plastic screw top tub that I'll dispose of once it's completely full up of broken needles. But to make felting a little bit easier, I've also included one of these. So this is the needle holder. So you can, and I generally do, just felt with the needles. You can hold one or multiple at a time. But a lot of people really like using this, so I include them in your kits. So to work this, you've got a peg in there. So you pull out your wee peg. Let's see, are we even in? Yep. There's a wee groove in there. So the needle slips into the groove with the hook over the smaller end. And you put the smaller end back in. And that just gives you a little bit extra to grip on with. So I'll do that one more time. So you've got your needle holder here. Pull out the wee peg. Pop the needle in the groove with the hook over the smaller end. And pop the smaller end in there. And then you can stab away. And you can get these that hold up multiple needles. You can get them that hold 1, 2, 3, I think even up to 12 needle holders. But for just now, I'm just gonna do it with the needles straight. And then second last, you've also got a hoop in your pack, but we'll show you how to use that near the end when we're ready for it. But the last and most important thing in the kit is we have the fibre. So this is tops or roving, depending on what you want to call it. There is a technical difference, but it's interchangeable at this point in time. And this has come off the sheep. These are almost all Shetland. They've come off, so Shetland sheep from the Isle of Shetland. It's almost all come, nope, it's all come off the sheep. It's been washed, brushed and dyed and then formed into this kind of ropey thing. But it's just loosely held together. So the way we work with this is you grab one end and have your hands nice and far apart and just gently pull. So I'm just gently pulling with my left hand, and that pulls out little sections like that. Now this is the length of the wool that was on the sheep. So it's the staple length of the fibre. So that's how long the sheep's hair was essentially when it was trimmed. So if you had your hands too close together, you would be pulling against this, like either end of the same bit of fibre. So it's not going to come apart. And if there's any twist in it, it's also not going to come apart. Because twist is essentially what makes yarn, and the twist will hold it together so it doesn't want to pull apart. So you make sure it's untwisted, so it's laying nice and flat. Have your hands nice and far apart and grab out little bits. And I will be saying this multiple times of how little you need to make such a big difference. So this is like a lot here. So sometimes I'll be telling you to get just that tiny, tiny amount. So yes, that's needle felting. Well, that's the stuff you need for needle felting. Shall we start needle felting? Let's do it. Also, for those of you who haven't joined before, so this is your first time, welcome. I'm so sorry. There's no Peanut tonight. She is off on a walk with one of my friends. So we will be uninterrupted, but it does feel a bit weird and lonely in here. And I definitely feel more like I'm talking to myself. So yeah, no Peanut, sadly. Right, Peanut's the shop dog, in case anyone's wondering. Okay, so let's get felting. So we're going to do essentially a base layer, just quickly, really lightly felted in, and then we're going to build up on top of that. And we want to make sure you go outside the edges of your circle as well. So I'm going to grab this first blue. This is Dream. Please remind me if I forget to name all the colours, because many people ask and I'm terrible at forgetting. So I'm just going to lay that down there. And then really light, so I'm going to where that line is there. And really lightly, with just a couple of needles, I'm going to take my needles and I'm going to just stab in all over. So I'm not bending the needle when I'm stabbing in. I'm just really lightly, essentially at this moment in time, tacking it into place. So if you're a sewer, this is a tacking stage of it really. And now, before we get any further, if you've made a mistake and it's all gone horribly wrong, what are you going to do? Are you going to panic and run away? Or, because it's just lightly tacked in just now, at this stage, you can just pull it up and move it. Put it in a different place or add or take away more. So don't panic. So I'm lightly tacking the Dream into the sky. Oh, I haven't told you what we're felting today. I got so excited with my felting. I haven't told you what we're doing. So here you can see what we're doing. This is a view of, so this is Eigg and this is Rum. There are two islands just off the west coast. So you go a little bit further north from here up to Malig and you're looking out on these two islands. Now Eigg is the one on the left. Eigg is the smooth one, like an egg. And Rum is a little bit more bumpy because it's probably drunk. That's how I remember them anyway. So we're doing Eigg and Rum today. With the beautiful blue sea that we get up here. It is gorgeous. And this used to be my view when I was working on the train that went up from Fort William to Malig every day. I would just see Eigg and Rum every single day looking like this. And it was spectacular. Yeah, back to felting. Told you it was going to be rambling nonsense. I make no apologies. Also, I've got a cup of coffee. I'm going to have a quick sip of that before I lose my voice. And in the comments, what is everybody having for dinner on a Friday night? I know what 2 people are having. Right, so we started with the sky. I'm going to essentially layer up so that the sky's in the back and the sand is underneath and that's in the middle. So I'm going to take my 2 sandy colours. So there's 2 lovely sand colours. This darker one is Butterscotch and the lighter one is Tusk. So I'm going to take the darker one and I'm going to do this line here essentially. So this is where the wet sand meets the water. So imagine as little waves will have wetted that sand there. You're having food for dinner. Good choice. I approve. And don't worry about it being too big because we're going to layer on top of it. So I've laid my little beach there. I'm going to take there with the butterscotch. I'm going to take the Tusk now. So the Tusk is the creamy one that isn't fluffy. Let's see. So this fluffy one's a different one that we're going to use later. So I'm going to take the Tusk and lay it on top and over the bottom. So you see how I'm layering up. So I'm putting just a light coating of the Tusk. Not entirely covering up, and we're going to be adding more layers, but just almost touching the top there. Give it a quick stab in. It doesn't need to be well felted in just now. We're going to go over it later on and secure it properly. We just want to get all the colours in place first. Then I'm going to do the sea. So we've got a few different blues here. Let's go through the blues so we know what's what. In fact, we've got many blues. So we've fluff everywhere. So we've already met Dream. That's the sky. That can go to the side. Then we've got 2 for the sea and 2 for the islands. So the beautiful, I don't even know what colour to describe this. It's called Spearmint. Spearmint blue there is going to be the sea, along with this one that's called Tropic. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. And then for the mountain, these are for the hills or the islands even. These are slightly more muted, so they're slightly more greeny. So we're doing the sea in these 2. I've also completely forgotten the name of these 2, so I will have to check my notes. But we're going to take Tropic and we're going to do... Now don't worry about the islands just now, they'll come in later. So we're going to do a line of Tropic. So not quite touching the sand, but touching the sky there. Just across. So this is going to be the deep part of the sea, and we are going to put some colour on top. So don't worry if it doesn't look anything like the picture just now, because this is the messy stage. We always have to go through a messy stage before we get into a stage where it makes sense. It's like when you see paintings, when they do the base colours and you're like, how on earth is that going to look like a painting? But it does. So now I'm taking Spearmint, the beautiful, oh I love this colour, beautiful Spearmint, and I'm going to essentially do my little sad face there, just like that. Oh, maybe join it in the middle there. So you can still see some of the blue in the background. It's following the shape of the beach. And we're just going to stab it in real quick. And there we go. And again, this is the messy stage. When we get layering, it's all going to make sense. Ooh, Robin, that sounds tasty. I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to get though. Okay, So let's put in another little important bit that's going to make it pop a little bit more. So with this stuff, this fluffy stuff that looks a little bit different from all the other ones, this is called Slivers. So this is still sheep. I think these slivers, if I'm right, is Cheviot slivers. Are Cheviot slivers. So they've again come off the sheep. They've been washed, brushed, haven't been dyed, but they've been brushed slightly less than the, like combed essentially, slightly less than the tops. So they're a little bit fluffier and a little bit more all over the place. So they make great clouds and great waves. That's the word I'm looking for. And great waves. So I'm going to take a tiny bit of this and I'm going to pull it out. Oh, 2 good points that reminded me. Every so often, very important here, you want to pull your picture off of the mat, because it starts to stick in and you can see in the back that it's getting felted in, and then just reshape it. And at this stage it's going to be quite flexible, so the pre-felt has a bit of give in it. Once it's finished being felted, you will see there's a lot less give, and it feels a lot firmer. So just now it's soft and squishy and movable, that's fine. So remember, pull it off the mat every so often. What was the second thing I was going to say? What was the second thing I was going to say? I can't remember. It's gone. It'll come back to me in a second. Oh, no, I've remembered. The second thing is, so far, I've been laying them all down essentially horizontally or in the shape that they are. That is a choice. You can choose to lay it down any way you like. You can scrumple it up to create texture. You can put it in different ways to create different movement. So with the waves, I'm going to make it into a long and slightly twisted string. And I'm just going to follow the line where the sea meets the sand. And don't worry, again, we're going to go over this a few times, but this is just to give us an idea of where everything is going to go. So I'm doing a line there. Now you can have your sea any shape you like. You don't necessarily have to do a sad face. It could be a happy face. It could be straight across. Entirely up to you. Okay, and now it's island time. And then once we've got the islands in, we get to do the fun stage. So for the islands, I'm taking a tiny, tiny bit of the dark. This is dark black brown. And you, in theory, you don't want to see this in the final picture, but you notice it if it's not there. So I'm taking a tiny bit of this, just a line like that, and I'm going to make the base of my 2 islands. So the one on the left is Eigg, is going to go a little bit, so that's the horizon line. Egg's going to go a little bit below the horizon line, because it's a little bit in front of rum. And rum, you're going to pop rum. So that's all we're doing with this black. So there's only going to be a tiny bit of black in your kit. You're going to pop rum right on the horizon line. So we've got our 2 bases of our islands. Now remember, these are just going to be little horizontal lines, and they're just to make the edge that little bit darker. But now we're going to work up the rest of the island. Let's put that back there. With these 2 colours, which are something and something. Nope, it's entirely gone. I will find out later. I do put all the colours I've used in the description below. So have a look in the description below, and I will have highlighted them. These 2. But I'm first going to take the darker of the 2, and I'm going to go over, I know it seems stupid, go over the black where we've just put it down, And again, we're still super lightly felting in. We're not putting any, we're not spending too much time thinking about stuff. So again, I'm taking some of the insert name here and pulling it up to there, covering up the black I've just put in. And then I'm going to take the lighter one, which is insert name here, and make the top of the hills on the islands. So to do that, Eigg is quite flat, kind of like an egg. So I'm just going to plonk it on and not to think too much about it. Don't worry, these aren't going to look like they're standing out yet. They will stand out later. Do not panic. And then rum is more schmoofly. So what I'm going to do is so I'm not entirely covering up the first colour I put down there. So I'm going to take this and kind of shape it so that it goes up. And we will be neatening up this line later on, but it's much more bumpy at the top of the island. Look, how much of a mess does this look like just now? I love it. Don't worry, this messy stage is the best stage. And oh, I have a story to tell about the messy stage in a second. Look, do you believe that that is going to turn into that? No, but it will. Right, where are we next? So next, I'm going to start... Where am I going to start? Because we've got basically... Oh no, we've got one more colour to put in. So we've got the slivers, I don't know how they're pronounced, that are going to make the clouds in the sky. So I'm taking... Can you even see how little I have taken right now? This tiny amount. And I'm even opening it up, essentially, even more, and laying it down. And I'm going to outline the hill I've just created. And if you're unsure about the shape of your hill, have a look at the picture on the outside of the box. Or look at this. And I'm making sure to outline that, but pulling it up higher as well. So can you see how here, I don't know if you can actually, hopefully you can. So I'm lining the top of the hill and pulling it up a little bit. So that just brings like the misty clouds. And again, lining where the hill is. So this is how you can make a lovely outline on the hill. Oh, there's even little bits of vegetable matter in there. That's how you know it's proper fresh. There we go. So we've got a little bit of outline on the go. So I did... Oh yeah, right. So we're in the groove. We're getting it. We've got all the colour in place. I'm now going to start chatting even more nonsense while I fiddle and put little bits here and there and tidy it all up. But before I do that, no, while I'm doing that, I'm now going to start jumping back and forward across different bits, adding in texture and little specks of colour and things. Let's see how we're looking. Yep, so that all fits in there nicely. So this is the area that I'm going to focus on now. So these edges can kind of just stay as they are. So the sea here, I'm going to take some of Tropic, the darker sea blue. And can you see how little I'm taking? So that little. And I'm going to layer it on top and pull it down of the spearmint. And I'm going to do the same again with the spearmint, taking little bits and layering it on top of the blue I just put down. And I'm going to do this a couple of times, and this is just going to build up, because when you stab it in, some will pop forward and some will pop back, and it just, trying not to get onto your beach, and it just builds up layers of colour, and it gives it a really lovely depth. So because we did that essentially under painting with the dark and the light, it's all going to make sense. In fact, I'm going to go for 3 now and give it a good stabbing all over. And the same on the beach. I'm quite happy. I think I'm happy with how the beach is looking just now. I need to work on the waves. That'll be in a second. Yes, so I did this. This is, I feel a bit guilty. This is not the first time I have demonstrated this picture, because I designed this picture especially for a tour group I had last week of amazing ladies from all over America doing a wool tour of Scotland. They came and joined me. I designed this for them, taught them all how to do it, and then they took me out for dinner last week, which was delicious, and they all did absolutely brilliantly. There was even 2 husbands there who felted along, joined in, and did really well as well. I was so proud of everybody. Okay, so the sea is starting to come together. I'm starting to see the nice layering. We need to, the beach I'm fairly happy with as well. The beach doesn't need much, really doesn't need much in it. I might lighten it up slightly with a little bit more, like a really fine line there, and then the same again, a fine line going down. Perfect. That's really all it needs. The beaches are low maintenance in the felting world. But I'm going to work on, you see now how much I'm felting all over. So tonight, oh yes, tonight we are going to get all the basic colours in place. We're going to get most of it, I'm taking the slivers now and reworking that again. Get all the colours in place, get it mostly felted. So it's pretty much finished, but not entirely finished. And then I'm going to get you to stop and go away. Shoo, be gone. And come back in a day or 2 with fresh eyes and just felt all over it for about maybe 15-20 minutes, making tiny changes. So there's 2 reasons for this. A, your arm's going to get sore by the end of tonight, so let's just stop. And B, you're going to come back with fresh eyes. So because you've been staring at it for so long tonight, I'm going to do little waves now. So I'm taking little bits of the slivers and just popping them a little bit higher up. Yeah, so you'll have fresh eyes, because by the end of tonight you might think, oh my god, it still looks terrible, what on earth am I doing? And then tomorrow you'll come back, or in a couple of days you'll come back and you'll be like, actually that's really good. Because that happens so many times, especially to me as well. I felt a thing and then I come back, I think, oh, it's terrible, I'm never putting it out, I'm never going to do it. Come back the next day and I'm like, actually that's really good. Or another thing that you can do is send a photograph to somebody. So I like sending a photograph to my parents. Hi mum and dad, you're in the stream having your dinner. Hello. They're my tech support. They're wonderful. And ask them for any feedback. And even just taking a photograph of it, a lot of the time gives you a fresh, oh, I'm squinty, gives your eyes a fresh perspective. And now I'm reasonably happy. I still want to do a little bit more in the ocean. I'm reasonably happy with it. And then we're going to go back to the islands and the sky again. But before we do that, I'm going to have to do a big shout out for Robin, who is being very quiet and respectable in the comments today, who is another felter. Her channel is Feltaholic. It's on YouTube, or if she shouts out, she might ask her to put a link in the comments. She's wonderful, and she has just done a 3D felted Highland cow, and oh my, they are the cutest thing ever. Sorry, this is my coffee break. The little blue, was it blue? Yeah, I think it was the blue one was my favourite. But you did lemon that one, and you've been keeping me company because I listen to her videos while I'm in the shop felting. They're wonderful. Yes, they're wonderful. So I can now never do a felted Highland cow because I cannot beat yours. Or was it meringue? Did you call it meringue? Okay, so I'm going to work on the islands. So they look a mess, absolute mess right now. Do not panic. So a couple of things we've got to do to make them as good as the sand and the beach that we've just done, because I'm really happy with how this is looking. So we need to tidy up. So again, we've just got like a straight up line essentially between the two colours. So we need to fade that in. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the insert colour name here. The lighter one, again, look how tiny. Can you even see on the camera how small that is? And put that over the bottom one there. Where's my needles? And do the same with the dark one and put that over the top there. So that is step 1 of 3. I'm going to do this a couple of times just to really, you can even at this stage because the hills can be quite smooshy, so I'm taking that little bit and smooshing it up. Smooshing is the technical term, but making sure the bottom has a darker bit on it. Okay, so that's island 1. I think I want to pull it a little bit more forward. I don't know what my island cows would look like. Yours are adorable. Okay, so now I've blended essentially that first island, but it's not quite finished yet. So I'm going to take the 2 sea blues and take a tiny bit of the lighter blue and put it just below the island edge where where it would be lighter. It started to get lighter there, and I want to just taking a tiny bit of the darker blue below that because it's looking a little bit light. But if yours isn't looking light, don't worry about it. And then we're taking the slivers again, and the tiniest, I've said this before, I will say it multiple times, the tiniest, can you even see it? I can't see it on my monitor, bit of slivers, and just putting it where the island meets the water. So we're getting just a tiny bit of surf breaking on the island. And now look, oh my god, look, the difference between that island and that island is just spectacular. I'm going to pull the clouds down just a little bit more to outline the nice smoothness, there we go, of the top of Eigg. And I'm going to do exactly what I just did to Eigg to rum. Oh my god, 2.2k views. That is spectacular. Yes, you mentioned it in your stream and I have not gone to find it. I will promise. That'll be tomorrow's shop listening. Yes, you're getting famous. I'm just going to do a quick time check. What time are we at? making brilliant time tonight. So I'm gonna work on island 2, and then we're gonna stab all over for 5 to 10 minutes, and then go back in and change anything that I think needs changing. So again, we're taking the lighter one, just tiny bits, popping it on top of the darker one, and the same again with the darker one, popping it on top of the lighter one. I really wish I could remember the names off the top of my head, but my brain today, it's been a week. The season has started up here. So the little wool shop that I run, where I sell all these kits, in the Highland town of Fort William, is started to be inundated with wonderful people coming. The tourist season. So I've got that island butting up and behind. So I've got rum butting up and behind Eigg. And I've made sure that the little bit where Eigg comes in front of rum, I've got the slightly darker bit there, because it'll give you a feeling of depth. Did that make sense? I know you're normally chief nonsense maker, but you're more than welcome to feel quiet and not make any nonsense. I will make enough nonsense for myself. There we go. So I'm going to go back and work on this island again, because I'm not quite happy with it, but I want to get the sea below it done. So I'm going to grab again a little bit of the spearmint and just put that right where the island meets the water, and I'm making sure it's going along so it looks like it's going behind Eigg, so it's going to go a little bit higher there. Perfect. I'm going to darken up a little bit there. And if you haven't noticed already, I give you far too much in these kits. You can, I haven't mentioned this before, but you don't necessarily have to felt onto the pre-felt. You can felt onto various materials. So you can felt onto regular felt. You can felt onto some cottons, nothing too tightly woven, but so slightly looser woven materials. You can definitely felt onto old jumpers, especially if you've put them in the washing machine. You can felt onto them. So if you want to do another picture with the leftovers, you're more than welcome. There we go. And I'm going to just put my little slivers, the wavy slivers there. So where again the island touches the water, putting a tiny just where the surf would hit it. I might even pull, so it's kind of disappeared there, so I'm going to pull that out just a little bit further. There we go. That's better. Oh, it's coming together. So I'm at a stage now where essentially everything is in place. And I'm going to felt over it for a good 5 to 10 minutes while I ramble nonsense at you. But before we do that, we're going to try it in the frame to see if there's anything that... Ooh, bamboo fibres would be interesting to felt with. I don't think I felted with them. Distraction. Before we do that, we're going to try it in the frame to see if there's anything major I want to change. So, to get it in the frame, first of all, you want to take the mat away. Do not try and do this on a mat. It does not work. It is annoying. You've got your frame here. So you're going to unscrew it until, let's see, so that little screw is just, so it's still attached, bits are the biggest it can go. You're going to take out your middle bit, which is the full circle, put it down on your table, put this on top, then feel where your hoop is and kind of line it up where you want it to be. Then you're going to take your outside, and if you're hanging it up from this bit, and you're just going to press it over and have a look. Nice. So once it's all properly felted in, that is essentially what it's going to look like. So is there anything you want to change at this point? So I've noticed that I've missed a bit of the clouds there, so I'm going to pull that down and felt that in there. That island, is it looking a bit big? I might shrink that island down a little bit. But apart from that, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, the islands are definitely bigger than that one, but that's fine. It's such a nice spot, isn't it, Robin? And I'm going to bring up some of the sandy colour a little bit higher up. But for just now, I'm taking it out of the frame and I'm going to stab it all over for a good 5 minutes. And you'll feel it start to lock in. Like, I can see how fluffy it still is compared to how well felted that is. It's such a lovely spot up here. I absolutely adore it. Like the sand, you get yellow, proper yellow sand on the beaches looking out to these two islands. And they're just like, you know how you get that hazy islands in the distance. So I said earlier, always felt in and out, never bend the needle. If you want, like I want these islands to shrink a little bit. So as I'm felting, I'm going to stab down, still in and out, but I'm angling it slightly and it's going to shrink the islands for me. So I don't have to do it myself. Genius. So you see how I'm just moving it down and the island is shrinking a little bit? It's also giving it a nice crinkly edges. But I want this to have smooth edges. And it will shrink slightly as you're felting. I think I need that C to be a bit deeper there. It's looking a bit shallow. So yeah, like I said, this isn't going to be finished tonight. Have a break. Come back. So I aim to make these an hour long. And that's how long I've got the dog sitter for. Or I got my friend looking after Peanut. She is a professional dog sitter, but she's also my wonderful friend. So I aim to make these an hour long, but come back in a day or two with fresh eyes before you frame it up. Oh, and once you framed it up and you're happy with it, then you can just cut off the back excess. I'll show you at the end, don't worry. So just going all over. Oh, I was adding more light to the sand, wasn't I? Oh, another thing I should probably mention. This is your picture. You can do what you like with it. If you don't want to put it in the hoop, you do not have to. You can, in fact, cover the entire picture and frame it up. Or do whatever you like to it. It is your picture. You are in charge. The frame just sort of gives it a nice finished, done, easy. But if you've got a lovely frame that you think it might suit, then by all means. There we go, that's a bit better. A little bit darker there. Just to give it that nice bit of depth. Perfect. And I've noticed that this little wave is moving slightly as I felt. So I'm going to add in a little bit more just to fill in that wee gap. Because it moves around as you're stabbing it. Don't worry about that. and you might have seen in my Instagram reels, because apparently that's a thing I do now, a little short reel or video of me setting up last week for the class that I did, and these were the colours. So that any of you that guessed in the comments what islands it was that I was, or what landscape I can do words, what landscape I was doing, it's this. There we go, that's a bit better. That's better. And remember, and pull your mat up. Look at the back how felted that is in now. Felted. I've said felted too many times, it's stopping to make sense. Oh, a link in for what? For my Instagrams. Oh, it should be in the comments. In the description, sorry. Oh, also, I hate doing this, but do the YouTubey things. If you could like, subscribe, pop a comment to this video, I would very much appreciate it. I do read all the comments and absolutely love hearing from you guys. And how do you know when it is? Oh, also we have a Facebook group for the felting, and I love seeing your finished pictures. Please pop them in the Facebook group. Links in the description. What was I going to say? How do you know when you have finished felting this? Is the next most important question, and the answer is it depends. So these pictures, depending on what is going to happen to them when they're finished, you can felt them as much or as little as you like. So say it's going behind glass, no one's ever going to touch it. You can just really lightly felt it in if you like and do nothing else. But if it's going to be in the frame and it's likely to be touched quite a lot, like say for example it's on display in a shop like mine are, I go over these for a good amount of time until they're really well felted in, because I want them to be properly fixed in there. But it's entirely up to you. There is no it is felted, it is not felted easy description. Nice. Might even, what time? Put a little bit of blue on top of the slivers. See how that works. Just to make it even, there we go. That makes it even more wispy and nice. Because that's it. It's all about layering. And if you don't like something you've put down, remember, what can you do? You can just pull it back off again. Or you can add on top. So that is the thing I really like, is just popping, because the layering of the colours is what makes felting. It's just so effective yet so easy. Who knew that stabbing for a few hours could make something as awesome as this? Oh god, that was awfully full of myself. I didn't. Did I just say that? No, I refuse. Oh. Oh yeah, always count your needles in and out because you don't want to lose a needle. Okay, oh, I broke the place. Oh my god, I've got too many chairs in this office and I'm having a fight with all of them. Okay, there we go. We've still got about 10 minutes, and to be fair, if I was doing this for purely pleasure and not in front of the camera, I would call it done there for the night. In fact, I think I just might, because I don't want to overwork it tonight. I want to come back in a couple of days with fresh eyes. Everything, I'm happy with how everything is. Yeah. Or do I? I think I want to take Eigg down a little bit. So another thing, especially at this stage, because it's not fully felted, is you can kind of grab and pull. So I'm going to take Egg, make it, because it's a little bit flatter. There we go. So Egg is now about a finger's width. And Rum is, rum is, what is it, a shot, a 2-finger shot of whiskey. Or a 2-finger shot of rum, in fact. Does anybody have any questions in the comments? Please leave them below and I will answer them. But I think I'm just stabbing for the fun of it. I'm going to put it into its frame and call it a day because I'm really happy with that. And you can see now when I'm pulling it, it's got so much less give. So if it was going to be in a low touch area, I would probably be happy with how that is. But because it's going up on the wall in the shop, I'm still going to come back and do another half an hour or so of just stabbing all over. But right, so let's frame this bad boy up. So I've taken it and put the mat away, put the frame down, feel where I want it to go, so a little bit higher because I want that nice sand in there. And before you press it in, yep, so I'm happy with it there. So I take it to the edge of a table and then I'm just pressing round so that it lays nice and flat. And you can even at this stage move it a little bit. There we go. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that is. Frame, am I happy with it? Do I want more sky? Let's have a look and see what it looks like with more sky. That is the joy of doing it a little bit extra around the edges. Yep, I think I like more sky. But again, it's your picture. You can do more sky, more beach, less beach. In fact, let's see what it looks like with more beach. That's also something we can do. More beach, less sky. That looks pretty cool. I quite like that as well. I'm going to go for more sky, but the options are there. This is your picture. So I'm just squishing that on up. Just smooching up. And now I'm going to pretend that you have come back after a day or two and you're totally happy with how it is. You love it to bits. You've come back and you've realised how wonderful it is. And you're totally finished. So to completely finish it up, you just tighten up that screw. You'll see it's moving out. I don't know if you can see. Until it is as tight as you can get it. And then this extra at the back, you're just going to take a pair of scissors and chop, chop, chop all that extra off. And it'll be the two hoops together hold it nicely in place. You don't have to worry about it coming out. And then you have a finished picture. So let's bring them together. Thank you guys for joining me. It has been wonderful as ever. We did a thing. Well done. I'm so proud of you. Please post your finished ones in the Facebook group. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for joining me. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time for another one that I have not yet designed. It'll be fine. And thank you for keeping me company, Robin. Thank you, my squishies. Have a good night.